Hey, everybody, and welcome to a totally revamped Dan and Frankie Go to Hollywood, where we're going to be mixing things up now. And if you want to hear about the movies, this is your chance to hear about the movies and not about things that we've been up to and what we ate for lunch yesterday or, whatever else. But
What we've been watching
yeah, what
is
we've been
what our
watching,
other episodes have.
yeah, and what we had for lunch yesterday. But anyway, here we are. So my name is Dan.
And I'm Frankie.
And we are here today to discuss one of the most freaking amazing movies ever made in the history of cinema. And yes, I'm standing by that. Well, I'm sitting right now, but The Exorcist from 1973. Um, just going to go by the letterboxed blurb. When a charming 12-year-old girl takes on the characteristics and voices of others, doctors say there is nothing they can do. As people begin to die, the girl's mother realizes her daughter has been possessed by the devil. Her daughter's only possible hope lies with two priests and the ancient rite of demonic exorcism. Um,
That sound that
I know, it's a
that
bit
sounds
weird,
a
isn't
bit
it?
off to have had as
I
the
I
description.
think so too. Like, starts taking on the characteristics and voices of others. Like, you're right,
And
technically,
yeah, but
but
also I can't even remember what's the mother's name?
The mother's name
I should
was
bring up
Chris McNeil.
Letterboxd. Yeah, Chris never says she's possessed by the devil.
Well, it wasn't either. It was Pazuzu, but
Yeah.
yeah, look, dear Letterboxd, we've got some issues with your thing. Yeah, but anyway, take us back. How old were you when you first saw The Exorcist, and what did you think about it at the time?
I was maybe 14-ish
Okay, so only
around
about
then.
10 years ago.
Yeah. And I had a friend sleeping over and we wanted to be scared, so we stayed up super late to watch
Mm.
it. And we were really bored.
Yeah, I think a lot of us probably had the same sort of thing because yeah, I was the same. I got into horror movies at a very young age, but this one didn't come to me till I don't know what age I was. It would have been in my teens at some point as well, but yeah, I watched it and I was just sort of like, especially the whole opening scene in Iraq, I'm just like, what's this got to do with possession and stuff? Like, just hurry up, And yeah, by the time I got to the end of it, I was just like, eh. But like a lot of movies that you watch when you're a kid, especially ones like this that are way too deep and complex for little tiny child minds to understand. Yeah, as you go on in life, like, oh my God, it takes on a whole different meaning, doesn't it?
Yeah, I didn't watch it again until 2021.
Oh
So,
wow.
because I was like, it's a boring movie. I
Mm.
don't care. I've got lots of other things to watch.
Right,
But I
right.
did revisit it. I still don't find it scary, although I have a high tolerance for horror. So there's not that many
Yeah.
movies I do find scary anyway. But
Mm.
I actually focus more on other things in it than the horror stuff,
Mm.
actually. So,
Yeah, like what?
like Father Karras.
Yeah. Okay, so
His
yeah.
story is the standout thing for me rather
Mhm.
than the possession.
It is super interesting, isn't it? The whole relationship with his mother and everything. Like, yeah, there's so much going on there, and that's what I mean. Like this is such a deep, complex film. I was really lucky enough to catch it on the big screen when it was re-released in, I think it was 2000. When they had all the sort of new footage and the spider walk on the stairs
Mm.
was put back in and everything. So. But by that point, yeah, I was much more into it. I I just for me, yeah, it's not necessarily like a super scary film for me either, but I just find this movie so unsettling. There was actually a while back, like a couple of years ago or so, I think I was at home working and I went to put it on in the background, like just sort of, some background noise kind of thing. And of course, like I basically just stopped work and was watching the movie. But I had to turn it off. It was the weirdest sensation. And it was only during that sort of opening scene, where Father Merrin is in Iraq. But I just didn't, I don't know. I just had this really sort of unsettled feeling, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to watch this right now. And so
You
I
know,
actually had to turn it off.
that's weird. But
It is,
the funny thing about that is I didn't know that that's all makeup to make him look old.
isn't it crazy?
And I just felt uncomfortable when I watched it in a different way than you did because
Mm.
he looks like he's just going to drop dead at any moment.
Oh,
And he
absolutely, he
just
does. Yeah.
really full on seems like this super old guy that's struggling. And it just blew my mind
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because what
when
was
I
he?
realized he's like in his 40s or 30s or
Yeah, so he
something
was
when that
born
was made.
in 29, so for the yeah, like 40 something. So I only found that out only a few years ago as well. Because I sort of got to this point, I was like, hang on, if he was so super old in The Exorcist, like how did he keep doing so many
Yeah,
movies
because I
after
think
that?
that's like I knew he was had been around for years, but I had
Mm,
no idea how old he was or when he started acting or
mm.
anything. And it's only when I really thought about it, I was like, wait, that doesn't quite
It
work.
doesn't add
And
up.
then
Yeah,
when I found
yeah.
out, it's just
Yeah. So I
so
only,
yeah, it's
yeah.
very, very convincing acting and makeup
Mm.
there.
Oh, isn't it? Like, there's not a single moment where you could. And actually, like, I'm looking at his letterbox picture right now, and I'm like, when he is super old, I'm like, that's actually what he looks like in the film. That's crazy. But yeah, but no, I think because that opening first act, like it's designed to unsettle you. Like when you look at and I'm going into, things from a filmmaking perspective here, but the sound design is very abrasive. There's a lot of kind of like jarring sounds and things that just don't sound comfortable. And then the visual element, there's like so many times you see people's faces when they just look, you know, either sort of disfigured or just like really weird looking people and things like that. And then you got that moment where you see those two dogs fighting, which is just such a throwaway little moment. It's like, oh, a couple of dogs fighting, but all of that stuff adds up to to unsettle you. And I just think it's genius. I love, if I'm in the right mood for it, I love watching that whole opening thing just to really spot the ways that they intentionally, you know, put things on the screen or through your speakers to make you, feel uneasy. So yeah, I just think it sets up the tone so perfectly, and then of
Mm.
course we cut to oh wow. Yeah, this is the benefits of doing research. Where I don't know where the movie was set. I want to
Isn't
say
it
Chicago, but
yeah, isn't
I
it Georgetown?
Georgetown, that's it. Yes, Georgetown, Chicago. Uh which it might be for all I know. I don't know. Um yeah, and yeah, then you go into this sort of, peaceful, tranquil neighborhood and everything, and it's like, oh, okay, like we're taking a breather now, before everything like kicks off again.
Washington.
Washington, that was it. Of course it is. Yeah. So, like, yeah. Do you pick up any of that sort of stuff throughout the beginning, or
No, I
right?
that's interesting because I think of the beginning as just the bit to get past to
Oh,
get
okay. Right. Right.
I find the movie picks up when it switches to Washington.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right. Okay.
uh,
Okay. Maybe next time if you, sit down, like actually,
yeah, I'll
maybe
think
try and
about
spot those
that
sort of
while I'm
things. Yeah.
watching.
Yeah. Because I know that our brains work totally differently in that respect. But yeah, it could be a fun exercise for you.
Yeah, I still, it just makes me you just have flashbacks to high school and studying Forrest Gump. And what does the feather floating across the screen in the opening like signify for the movie? So, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I know it's not that bad, but
yeah.
I don't think about the
You don't
meaning of,
analyze films, like yeah,
yeah, not,
exactly.
I'm just in the story.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sort of a middle ground. Like I don't just sit there and analyze, or anything. Like I get immersed in the story, but I still kind of pick things up like that
Yeah,
along the way.
that's
So
why when I really like movies, I like to look up. people talking about them or writing about them because then
Mm.
they'll say things and I'll be like, oh yeah, because I will notice the thing, but I won't really think about what it
Yeah,
means
yeah.
and how
Mm.
it relates. So yeah, I
Yeah.
like to think about things after more than
Mm.
distract myself while I'm watching, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fair enough. And I really enjoy the gradual process that Reagan goes through, on her journey towards towards having
Yeah,
the
well,
characteristics and voices of others.
I noticed this time that yeah, it's like halfway through the movie
Mm,
before exorcism is even mentioned.
mm, yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
it's just you don't think, well, I don't, in between watching it, I wouldn't have thought that we have half the movie before any of that stuff starts happening.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Like, yeah, and I think that's another reason why, as kids going into this movie, because we just thought like, the movie opens with, a possessed child on the bed, and the whole movie's just going to be like, nasty shit
Or
happening
just,
all the time.
she'll start doing stuff, but it will be that will be the start of the movie, and then you have like, 10, 20 minutes to
Mm,
show her doing stuff, and then, straight
mm,
into exorcism. And
mm.
that's the like majority of the movie.
Yeah, 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 exactly. But no, I like all the little sort of subtle foreshadowing, where she, tells her mum about Captain Howdy, and it's sort of like, oh, what's Captain Howdy? And like, and I even remember, one of my first times watching it, yeah, I didn't even sort of really think that that would be her name for, this demon thing that's tormenting her, who clearly wasn't tormenting her at the time because she was being friends, with it. But yeah, so all these little sort of things, and then of course, you get like, oh, that brilliant, brilliant scene where they're at the dinner party and what's his name's playing the piano, and she just sort of comes downstairs, pees herself, and says, "You're gonna die up there." And it's just like, whoa, that just hits you like a ton of bricks that moment, because it's so subtle, but that's the thing that this film does so well is delivering such a punch in its subtlety, I think. Would you agree with that?
Hmm. I think that's the strength as well as the other stuff going on.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like a drama that
Mm.
then turns into horror,
Yeah, yeah.
like in the last bit.
Mm.
Because even though it's half the movie before they, contact the priest and everything, and
Hmm.
then there's not that much that's the actual exorcism, which
Yeah.
always feels like a huge part of the movie, and it's pretty quick.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And then
It's
of
more of
course,
the build up. And then
mm.
I will agree with everyone that probably the scariest part of the movie is watching the medical testing stuff that she has to go through.
It's horrible, isn't it? And but again, that I think adds to the uneasy feeling of watching this movie because yeah, that is just some really awful shit that she's going through. Which of course reflects the real life way that they actually made the film, but we'll get into that later on. But yeah, but then you've also got like the that sort of subplot, I guess, with Lieutenant Bill Kinderman, the cop, who's uh, formed a friendship with Father Karras, and there's that whole thing of, talking about movies and going to the movies and
Mm.
stuff, and even just the way that like Chris is an actress, and when we sort of first meet her, it's like on a film set and everything, which is just really interesting. It's just like rather than she's just the mum at home, like this woman actually has a life, and she is affluent enough to afford staff at her house and things like that. I just thought that made it so much more interesting, but also, I guess in that sort of respect, it's maybe kind of saying a few things about like class and equality and everything, in that, this isn't just like a middle class suburban household. Like this is a well-to-do family and everything, and this sort of shit can still affect those people. I guess it's saying that like evil can basically knock on anyone's door kind of thing. But yeah, so what do you think about that whole subplot with like the cop and going to the movies and all of that? Because that's one of those things I'm I don't really know like what it's trying to say in the terms of the film.
Yeah, I do like because it kind of makes it like a quirky cop character
Hmm,
that he's just trying to because then it comes up again at the end with the other guy whose name I
hmm,
can't remember. But
yeah.
yeah, and it's just like whenever he's talking to these people, he's trying to get them to go to the movies. And then
Hmm,
of course that comes back in Exorcist 3,
hmm.
which I think is a really fun continuation of
Oh my
the
God, so
characters
good.
from
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things like, I mean, look, if you wrote the cop character out of the script entirely, it's probably not going to really change the movie all that much, um but I wouldn't, I wouldn't want
Mm.
to see him gone because he is a really interesting character. And
And he's
that
just funny. I guess it's a bit of comedy in it as
mm,
well, because then there's the bit where he's talking to her and then he wants an autograph for his
mm,
daughter or something it was, and then he
yeah.
admits that it's actually for himself when she
Yeah, yeah,
asks for the
yeah.
name.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, like super interesting character. Like, I mean, just everyone stands out. Even I can't remember what was the name of the young girl who's kind of like a babysitter or something in the
Well, she's a personal assistant, isn't
personal
she?
assistant. Yeah.
Hmm.
Whatever her name was.
Was that Sharon?
Yeah, I think so. You like, I don't know, even she seems interesting and kind of, yeah, it was her. Um, yeah, you kind of, want to know more and stuff. Like, yeah, to me, this is just a perfect film. There is absolutely nothing that I would change about
You
it or
know what's
anything.
funny though
Mm,
is that that whole thing about she thinks there's rats in the attic.
mm,
So she goes up there in the middle of the night to
yeah.
investigate. Like, why would you go up to the attic in the middle of the night to look for rats?
Because it was in the script. I don't know. Because it's scarier at that time of night. There you go. That's
Yeah, but it's just
yeah.
the weirdest thing to go, oh, I can hear something up in the ceiling. I'm just gonna go up with a torch in the middle of the night rather than
Yeah.
wait till morning.
Hey, look, whether it's the night or the morning, it's still going to be dark up there, right? I mean, unless there was like a sun window, or I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, I'm actually just looking on. Oh, that's interesting. I just noticed on Letterboxd that William Peter Blatty, who wrote the novel, his name is actually in the cast, and I'm just looking. He was uncredited. He played the producer. I'm guessing of the film within the film kind of thing. So, yeah, I until now did not know that he was actually in it.
So, what, he was just in the crowd while they were filming or at the party in the background?
Maybe at
I
the
don't know what he
dinner
looks like.
party. Yeah, I don't actually know what he looks like either, but yeah. Oh, now I do know what he looks like, and I do not recognize him from being in the film, but
Oh, he's a very interesting looking man.
he is an interesting looking man. He has quite piercing eyes.
Hmm.
If you can get all the way past that nose. But anyway, yeah, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, that's not nice. Um, but yeah, I just, but it does. Let's go on to let's take a little sort of a side tangent here about how irksome it is that you can't do a exorcism movie anymore without people comparing it to this one. Because I know
That
that's
drives me nuts.
mm-hmm,
But especially from horror people, because horror
mm,
is full of subgenres of
mm,
types of movies.
mm-hmm.
And I know we were talking about it, and I'm like, there is Jaws, but people never say, what's the point of a shark movie? We have Jaws already.
Oh, those
And I
people better
don't, I
not say
don't,
that.
I don't know why like exorcism movies have such a bad name.
I
Like I
know
know, I
it's
mean,
ridiculous.
yeah, some are terrible, but some are good. And
The Pope's
I
Exorcist,
don't know.
great film.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm
I find I just think possession movies are fun.
Mm,
So I'm not against checking them out just because
mm,
The Exorcist already exists, especially since, especially just watching The Exorcist again recently and how much drama there is in the like the story with Paris, which we'll
hmm
get to soon because he's the best. And there's all of that. So when you get a lot of modern possession movies are much
mm,
more about the possession.
hmm
Plus, I mean, like, look at the Conjuring movies. People
Mm,
seem fine with them.
mm.
So I
Yeah,
guess
exactly.
if they like it, it's fine. And every other possession movie is like,
Yeah, yeah,
"Meh."
yeah.
But yeah, it happens before movies even come out. And yeah, like the
Hmm.
Pope's Exorcist, everyone was so against that because it was a
Mm,
possession movie. And then so many people watched it and went, oh, it's actually pretty good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think
Whereas I was
also,
just looking forward to it,
mm,
like from the beginning, because it looked interesting.
and it seems you can't have the actual word exorcist in without, oh, this is just ripping off the exorcist. But,
Mm.
that is the position of like the title of the person doing the thing. So, it's kind of
It will be
hard not
interesting.
to.
We've got the ritual coming out this
Mm,
week, which is Al Pacino and Dan
hmm.
Stevens, and but it's based on the same real life case as The
Mm,
Exorcist. So
hmm.
I actually am surprised I haven't seen more online trashing it
Yeah, right.
because, you know, this is probably the movie most likely to get all that hate because it is that similar kind of
Of
thing.
course. Yeah,
I
yeah.
did see someone complaining about it because the real case was actually a boy and there's a girl in the movie. And then
Oh,
I just
okay.
thought, but The Exorcist has a girl as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's
Um,
also a bit different from the normal,
mm, yeah, no, there's
from the
there's
original rather. So
just no
yeah,
pleasing
I
some
don't know.
people.
Yeah, I mean, I've
Mm,
seen a lot of, I mean, even like Friday the 13th movies,
mm.
they're all kind of the same. They
Oh,
all
of
blend
course they
together.
are.
It's just a
Yeah.
guy walking around killing people. And
Mm,
yeah, you can get interesting kills. You've got that when you have a
mm.
slasher, but yeah, I don't know why. Why do people hate exorcism
I do
movies?
not know. It's because the some people are narrow-minded. But
Hmm.
anyway, so in terms of the sequels, the legacy of The Exorcist, that was a wild ride, wasn't it? Because you and I got into Exorcist
Well,
2 rather late. We saw it around the same time
yeah,
a couple of years ago or whatever, and
yeah.
I never bothered with it because I heard how bad it is, and it was. It was really terrible, wasn't it? I don't even
Yeah,
remember much of it.
I was just gonna say that.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, it was interesting that Linda Blair was in it,
Yeah.
but the story and everything, there was just, I was so bored watching it, just waiting
Mm.
for it to be over.
Mm.
And then I was very shocked by Exorcist 3 because that is just an amazing film.
Well, I'd heard good things about that one, so I, yeah, kind of thought, okay, like, but I just never got around to it until, of course, we saw it, and yeah. Would you like to? I'm going to open the floor to you to have a little discussion about Father Karras because I've got a feeling that you've got a few things you want to say.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot, but I just find like his when I first watched it in recent years, because I had no idea what I thought of him the first time I saw
Hmm.
it, but I was young, so I was probably just like, oh,
Mm.
this boring priest, what, where's the horror? But yeah, I just find his story really gripping that, he's saying that he's lost his faith and then he's
Mm.
got the stuff with his mother and then she dies as well. And so he's just got all that going on and then this like exorcism thing and what happens at the end
Mm.
and then of course Exorcist 3 has more on that. And so
Mm.
I'm just like his whole story just like breaks my heart and I feel like I just feel sadder every time I watch the movie and see it again.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I was blown away by how amazingly good that third one was. And just such a different movie, like, different type of movie. Like they didn't just rehash the same thing over and over again, which is yeah, like that was so refreshing. Have you seen either of the prequels? So whatever.
No, they're still on my list to check
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Yeah, I have seen both. So there was I know one of them was called Dominion.
Yeah,
And
the other one was the beginning.
that's right, yeah. So if I remember correctly, so Paul Schrader, I think went and made it, but then like the studio wasn't happy with it or something, so they got a different director in and changed
Oh, it
everything,
might
and
have been that other way,
might have been the other way.
perhaps,
Yeah,
because
I'm
Paul Schrader's one came out the year after the other one.
yeah, but that was because Schrader was then allowed to release his version of it,
Oh, okay.
without the studio interference and everything. And I saw both of them on the big screen somehow. I think one of them was at a film festival or something. And yeah, I actually, if memory serves me correctly, because it has been a really long time since I've seen those films, but I think I preferred. So Dominion was the Paul Schrader cut, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I preferred that one. And even though overall there's not a well, like I don't remember the whole film, but there are definitely scenes that I remember that really stood out. So I didn't think it was too bad. Like, it was okay. Um, but then, of course, we had only, what was it, a couple of years ago? What I don't even remember what it was called, that stupid Exorcist.
Something Believer?
Yeah, that'll do. How about Exorcist? Hard to believe they've
Yes,
beaten this dead
Believer.
horse again. Yeah, where of course the big draw card for that was like, oh, we've got Ellen Burstyn's back in this movie, and yeah, I thought the trailers looked okay for that film. I was actually really excited for it. And then yeah, went and saw it and was like, I don't ever want to watch that movie ever again as long as I live. I thought it was terrible. Um, so yeah, I would probably say like the only sequel that was like yeah, actually good was definitely number three. But
Oh,
yeah.
that was the best. One of the all-time greatest performances from Brad Dourif. And
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
am so glad. But what's interesting, I can't remember the details now because, again, I haven't had time to research also this different film. But
Mm,
there was something about, like, I think they changed the location or something, and Brad had to re-record his all his monologues and everything.
right, right.
And so there was a thing that maybe that helped his performance, that he was perhaps annoyed that he had to do it all again. So
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the details now. I like heard a lot of things when I first watched
Mm,
this film because I was so into it. But I do really like that they had Jason Miller in that as well and had the
mm,
two of them together because I think that was the best way to do it. The only thing Exorcist 3 was let down by the studio interference
mm.
at the end saying, well, we have to have an exorcism in it. And so it
Yeah.
just has that weird ending thing of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
other guy that just doesn't need to be there that comes
Mm,
in for that part. But
hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
so it's good. I'm glad that they just went, even though the second one came out, that was kind of like a continuation because of Regan being in it. But then I'm glad that they just made the third one and went, yeah, let's just pretend the second one doesn't exist.
yeah,
We'll
because I
just
think we
do
all
a
have
sequel
that
to the first
attitude.
one.
Yeah.
Mm,
Now listen,
yeah,
my big question though is, have you ever seen the film from 1990, Repossessed, with
no.
Leslie Nielsen? Yeah, I've always been kind of curious about this film, and I think I might actually have to just bite the bullet and check it out. It's a spoof of The Exorcist. So you got Leslie Nielsen as Father May. But Linda Blair is also in this film. Once again playing the possessed girl, although this is 1990, so she'd be considerably older. But yeah, I haven't seen it because generally these kind of spoof films are absolutely terrible, but I think I might have to check it out because I do really love Leslie Nielsen. Like anything that guy is in, I think is well, he is amazing in whatever he's in, but yeah. So I don't know. I might have to check that out soon, I think. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, it was written by Bob Logan, who directed it, and I haven't seen any of the films that he's written, so can't say anything
Neither have I.
about whether to expect.
I do love how the poster design, though, is a complete rip-off of the Naked Gun films, where I think he was riding on a bullet in those ones, but in this one he's on a crucifix. So there you go. Yeah, no, I'd probably give that one a look. Yeah. So yeah, in terms of the look of The Exorcist as well, and again, I'm going kind of in filmmaker mode in this one, but I there's so many standout moments in this in terms of lighting and stuff. I mean, particularly there's that shot towards the end, during the final exorcism where Reagan's on like kneeling on the bed, and then the light comes on, you see Pazuzu standing at the side. Like, it's just such a dreamlike shot. And there were a lot of things like that kind of just felt otherworldly, and especially like the effects in this film as well. Actually, that's something definitely worth talking about because
Mm.
my God, they stand up to this day, don't they?
Mm.
I mean, I know the spinning head, like yeah, it's kind of obviously like a puppet head, but it still looks really freaking good. But in terms of things like furniture moving and stuff, like that big cabinet as it's, coming towards her when it in the bedroom, and even where she opens the door and there's just like things flying around everywhere and stuff like that all looks so freaking good.
Mm.
I do kind of think it was a little bit weird the way, like the cruelty that William Friedkin put the actors through. Like, all about that stuff, right?
Mm.
About how like they, turned the room down to sub-zero temperatures to make people's breath come out, and the oh, what was it? I think Ellen Burstyn had like lifelong injuries from that film, from the way that she was like thrown around, and so did Linda Blair, from especially where she's convulsing on the bed and sitting up and down like that. Apparently, just absolutely ruined her. And it was this film, wasn't it, where there was like a moment where William Friedkin fired a gun to like get to sort of shock everyone, to put them in the right frame of mind. I mean, I'm guessing it had blanks in it, but like there were so many things that this guy did
That
that were
makes me
just
think of that was a Christopher Walken thing in The Dead Zone
okay.
that he hates guns,
Hmm.
and so they would fire a gun to for him to react. I think it was every time he had a vision.
Right, right. Oh,
And
okay, I
so
didn't know
he'd
that.
just have a reaction, and apparently they
Hmm.
were just firing a gun because he hated the sound of it or
Right,
something.
right. Yeah, fair enough too. So yeah, I mean, look, it was. I don't agree with, like giving people lifelong injuries in terms of, to get a particular performance or shot or whatever. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard to deny though that, whatever he did to achieve what, you know, we got on the screen in the end was, I'm not going to say it's justified at all, but we got there. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
it all came together to create just one of the greatest freaking movies ever made. So yeah, I don't know. I do kind of sound like I'm trying to justify spinal injuries in order to make a good movie. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up. But anyway, what else? I don't know. That's I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say about it. Do you have
Yeah, I think
anything?
that's covered everything that I had.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. So yeah, I think to anyone who ever watched this film and was like, nah, it's boring. Give it another shot. Absolutely. Go into it with a different frame of mind. Watch that opening scene
Yeah,
and
I think that this movie's had a lot of hype of, the scariest movie ever.
mm,
And
yeah.
a lot of people have been scared. I think too, if you're Catholic, that seems to be a thing that to get more out of it.
Mm,
If you've been brought up Catholic, from what people have said who are
right, right.
Catholics, I guess some of the stuff hits harder for that.
Hmm.
But yeah, don't expect the scariest movie ever. If you are
No.
scared, that's
Mm.
fun. Um, but yeah, it is a very interesting story, and there's a lot of other cool stuff besides
Mm,
the horror possession part.
yeah. And some absolutely, yeah, cracking
I like that weird
cinematography and
director.
effects and yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It actually took me quite a while, like quite a few rewatches of this film before I realized that when Reagan's sitting on the bed and she says that famous line, do you know what she did, your daughter? Like, I didn't actually realize that that was the director's voice coming through her at that point. But yeah, like now, of course, it's like, oh, it's so obvious because it's his accent, it's everything, like,
Mm.
but yeah, I never actually spotted that at first. Like, oh, actually, there is one thing that I always found interesting with this film, is that when Karis first comes in and, does some ritual stuff and, throws what he says is holy water on her, and she's like, ah, it burns. And then, when he comes out and, he says to her, well, yeah, I threw that on her and she reacted, but it's just ordinary tap water. And I think the first time or the first couple of times I watched it, I was kind of like, oh, so like what is going on there? Like, is I wouldn't say is she faking it, but like what does it all mean? But then I started realizing later on, I was like, oh, okay, so the demon was just doing that to mess with them. Because they even say like the demon is a liar, and so I was like, oh, okay, like that is actually super cool. I love that because of
Yeah.
course that's going to put into
And
Karis's
there's
mind some doubt as to, that she's actually possessed.
and all this stuff with his mother, that it
Mm.
talks like his mother, and then at another time says she's here with us and
Yeah, and
all
that
that.
she's
I'm like,
performing a particular romantic gesture in hell. Yeah, that's all I'll say for that one. Uh, your mother folds socks in hell. Anyway, yeah. So no, that was one other interesting bit that I probably would have brought up earlier if I'd written notes, but I didn't. And yeah, but it was definitely worth mentioning because it stuck in my mind. But that being said, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got to say about The
mhm.
Exorcist. Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're going to go. I hope you've enjoyed this new format rather than scrolling through a whole bunch of things going, when are they going to talk about The Exorcist? Now you can just, here you go, there you go. We did it. You listened to it. You enjoyed it. I hope you did. We enjoyed it. And yeah, we are going to go and talk about other movies and they will be there for you to listen to. Well, I'm still getting used to this new format. I don't know when we're gonna.
Yeah, we can just end the episode.
Yeah, look, just stay tuned. There's going to be talk about movies because it's what we do. So yeah. All right. Now, thank you everybody for listening. It has been a pleasure having you aboard. If you're a fan of The Exorcist, by all means, come and hit us up on the socials. Talk about it. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop some comments because we want to hear from everybody. Thank you to people who've been leaving comments lately. Like it's been fun talking. So yeah. So yes, until we meet again, stay safe. What's a movie? I don't know. Watch lots of movies and bye for now.